And I'm live. Hey, everybody. Yes, it's me. I'm still alive, and I'm live. Welcome to Bloody Mary Brunch. All right, Drunk Ed. That's cool. Yeah, I saw your tweet just a second ago. You're going to make some breakfast. Sounds pretty good. I know my schedule's been kind of jacked up here lately, so I appreciate everybody for joining me at Bloody Mary Brunch's new time of 2 p.m. Eastern Time. I made a video yesterday, I think it was. I put it out talking about how my schedule's changed and my stream schedule's changed. So if you haven't seen that, check out my videos on my channel and you can see kind of a brief description of why I had to change and what the new schedule is. JJ, why aren't you here, JJ? You have the link. Or are you on your phone? If you're on your computer, JJ, I dropped the link in the group DM. Did I unmute my microphone? Yes, I did. Okay. I have forgot to do that in my settings before. I don't know where Rob is. I'm or Rambling Canuck. I'm waiting a minute to see if Rambling Canuck shows up. He's supposed to be on here with me. And we'll give some time for some people. See if some people show up in the chat. I'm sorry I'm a bit groggy, everybody. I literally woke up like 20 minutes ago. Trying to shake off the sleepiness. You and your Waffle House. Quit drinking coffee and flirting. Drink some coffee for me, brother. They do have the best coffee. And as you know, I don't really drink coffee anymore. Do still love some Waffle House, though. Scattered, smothered, covered. I don't either. I just read stuff on the internet. I'm waiting on. I don't know where Canuck is. I'm waiting on Canuck to see if he shows up. We kind of tag team this 50-50. I know the first part of it I'm good, but the second part was kind of his thing. I'm really waiting to see if anybody shows up. Because if the count's right on StreamYard, it's just me and you, JJ. Yeah, he may have. I almost did. I've only been up like 20 minutes, which is part of the reason I changed the time to 2 p.m. instead of 1 p.m. Because most of the time now I get up at 1 p.m. since my schedule's changed. Excuse me. But I will definitely be talking about the L8 because I do know some about the L8 mystery. It's a very interesting thing to me. It's just me and you, JJ. It's me and you against the internet. It's partly probably because of me not streaming or changing my schedule so much here lately. It's going to take a while to get viewers back, to get them used to my new schedule. Well, thank you for the retweet. I can't even talk. Retweet. It's awkward. Yeah, it's awkward. It is kind of awkward. Casparius. Hello, Casparius. Thank you for joining me. Now it's more than just me and JJ, aka Sith Lord. I'm waiting to see if my guest shows up. He may or may not have overslept. We'll see. And I also sent an invite to somebody else, to a mystery guest. So we'll see if she shows up. I hope you're well, Casparius. It's been a little bit. Good to see you. Appreciate you showing up. I really am actually going to talk about airships. I'm just kind of waiting a minute to see if Canuck shows. The mystery of the Navy L8 is been one of those things that's always kind of stumped me as far as odd or mysterious things. That, to me, I can't really figure out an explanation to it. Honestly, I mean, looking at all the evidence, there's theories out there. To me, it's just one of those things that doesn't make sense. I sent an invite to Mora. She hadn't said anything. We'll see if she shows up. She's also into historical stuff, so I sent her a link. So we'll see if she. Yeah, I'll do a brief synopsis of the video I put out the other day, Casparius. my streams have been either non-existent or very infrequent here lately. I changed schedules at work, so I couldn't do it on Sunday anymore. So my streams, like my Name That Tune and Jackbox Game Night, they're now going to be on Thursday nights at 11 p.m. Eastern Time. So that's why it was yesterday and not Sunday. That yesterday was the first day of starting my new stream schedule. So with this new schedule, I'm going to be able to get back on my streams and do my streams every week. Jackbox and Name That Tune will still be bi-weekly. So next Wednesday at 11 p.m. Eastern, we'll do Name That Tune. And then I can't even talk. Bloody Mary Brunch is going to just move up an hour to 2 p.m. on Thursday still, which is right now. But no worries, man. No worries if you missed it. Like I said, it's going to take a while for everybody to get used to. Well, first of all, I had not really been streaming for 3 or 4 weeks almost. So it's going to take a while for everybody to see that I'm streaming again and for everybody to get used to the new schedule. So more DM me back. We'll see if she shows up. But yeah, that's it's gonna be Wednesdays now. So Wednesdays at 11 p.m. Eastern, you'll either, depending on the week, you'll either catch Name That Tune or Jackbox Game Night. And the good thing for Jackbox Game Night is I can stay up later than I used to be able to because I used to have to get up really early in the morning. So we can play Jackbox games longer. Because last night I think we went for 2.5, 3 hours, something like that, or close to 3 hours, something like that. So it does give me a chance to play more games. Yeah, I know we went for over 2 hours. I hear a cat meowing in the distance because my wife's outside and it wants her to come in. Oh, we went for 2 hours and 47 minutes. So yeah, we went for almost 3 hours. I also passed a small milestone yesterday, I think it was. I broke 300 subscribers, so that's pretty cool. So I'm up to 300 subs. Last time I looked, anyway. But sometimes every other day, YouTube takes a sub away and adds a sub. So I don't know what's up with that. It's YouTube. There's now 3 people here. Who's the mysterious third person? Yeah, I enjoy Jackbox. I enjoy Jackbox a lot. I think most people do. To me, it's fun, especially as a live stream, because the audience can also play the games and participate, which makes it kind of a group interactive kind of thing instead of like this, where it's just you in the chat talking and me talking to you. You actually can join in the fun and play the games. But yeah, you'll just have to look for it on Wednesdays now, on Wednesday nights. But yeah, Jackbox is fun. Oh, I forgot about that, JJ. I forgot about your stream. Excuse me. I'm still rubbing the sleep out of my eyes. I wonder when Jackbox is going to come out with a new party pack. I need to look and see if they have. So they have 6 of them out right now. I don't know how often they release party packs, but it'd be cool if they released a new one and there was some new games or some new versions of the older games. Your 5 sub stream. Congratulations. It's honestly, it's crazy to me to even have 300 subs because you start messing around on YouTube and you think, why would anybody want to watch the crap I'm doing? I'm just doing this for fun. And people start subscribing. Whether you have 5 subs or 20,000, it's all just for fun, I think. I mean, I know some people do this to make money. To me, it's just a fun hobby to hang out with people, meet new people, talk about things I'm interested in, play fun games. But it's mostly really about meeting people. I've met some great people here on YouTube that I wouldn't have met otherwise. I've never done a sub stream. I was gonna do one at 200, and for some reason I just didn't. I don't remember why. Drunk Ed, what's going on? Yes, I've not really been making videos either. I've mainly just been doing live streams. You know, you really, to get a bunch of subs, for what I've seen, to get a whole lot of subs, you really have to be on the grind, and I just don't have time to be on the grind and put out like multiple videos a week plus do live streams. And yeah, I'm waiting to see if Rob shows up, Ed. That's what I'm kind of Canuck, Rambling Canuck. I'm kind of waiting to see if he shows up. Yeah, cheers, brother. So far, Ed, all you've missed is a lot of weird, awkward dead air of me just sitting here and talking to the chat. Yeah, I've just never been able to stay consistent with making actual videos. To me, it's just easier to do live streams. Reenactor story stream. That sounds interesting, man. I need to check that out. I'm assuming you mean like military reenactors, judging by your picture. I always have lots of ideas, JJ, for making videos, and there's even some that I've like wrote down so-called scripts for. It's just actually sitting down and and doing it. It's a whole lot easier just to sit down and hit start broadcast and just talk and hang out than to like actually make and edit a video. I have my whole first episode of my van build video planned out, and I've just never recorded it or put it together. Okay, that's very cool, man. Very cool. Love military history. Yeah, I definitely need to check that out. I've been to some. Well, a lot of I live in the southern United States, and there's lots of like Civil War battle reenactments. I have been to a couple Civil War reenactments, and it's really cool because before the recreation of the battle, you get to walk through the camp. They set up camps, like they really would have been during the Civil War, both sides, Union and the Confederacy, and you can walk through the camp and talk to them. But yeah, it's really cool, and the attention to detail and the amount of time people put into that is crazy. Yeah, it's really neat. You walk through their camps, they're like totally in character, for what they're doing, and everything's like to period, and it's a very cool experience. Yeah, I did too as well. And I had most of my family was actually on the Union side, but I did have one relative that was on the Confederate side. Yeah, it's a whole story. Yeah, I could see where that would be a very expensive hobby. Yeah, the amount of time and money and detail put into the clothing and all that stuff, all the period type things that go along with it. I can only imagine. Yeah, my half brother that was in the military, he's super into like Civil War history and stuff like that. He's traced all the family lineage through the Civil War. And the one it was just a brief history. It was four brothers. One of them actually joined the Confederacy. The other three joined an artillery company on the Union side, and they never spoke to him again after the war started. So they didn't know what happened to him. My half brother actually tracked down. I can't remember now what battle he died at, but my half brother actually tracked down what battle he died at and where he's buried, because they all, it's the joke of, not the joke, but the saying about the Civil War is brother against brother. They never knew in the war if they killed their own brother because he was on the opposite side. But come to find out, he did die in battle, but it was not a battle where his brother's artillery company was also there. So they, in fact, did not kill him. Somebody else did. Bro,
so how far did you make it into it?
I've just been bullshitting with people in the chat.
Oh, okay.
I was seeing if you were going to show up or not.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I just got busy doing a couple things, and then I realized, oh, shit.
Yeah. I woke up not that long ago. I woke up like right before I sent you the link.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I've been getting my sleep schedule. Well, you know the story, how my schedules changed, everything's all jacked up. So yeah, I woke up at like 20 to 2 and I was like, oh fuck, I think I got to do a stream.
Yeah. Yeah, I was looking at the clock a little while ago and I was like, oh, I gotta go on soon, but I can still stay laying down for a couple more minutes.
I'm going to be honest with you, I almost hit the snooze and rolled over. So it could have been a stream where neither of us were here.
Yeah,
or we were both like 30 minutes to an hour late, because I was the same way. I was like like when you're a kid, just 5 more minutes, Mom. Come on. Just 5 more minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we've just been generally BSing with the chat, or I say I've been just talking with the chat. Then Drunk Ed's talking about how he does war reenactment.
Okay.
And puts out videos that I've never heard of those videos. I need to check them out. He does like reenactor stories.
Okay.
Of like other reenactors, and I'm assuming like who they're playing and what they're doing, you know.
Okay. That'd be cool.
Yeah, Jeffrey, I miss the looting. I actually worked very close to where the looting was. It was very surreal. That's why I joked there for a while. I'm home from Battlefield Atlanta because I literally work like 2 miles from Midtown. So, yeah, there was like state troopers everywhere, National Guard everywhere, helicopters. It was like a war movie because they were protesting.
Oh yes.
Fun. And then
fun.
It's from what I've read, it's pretty much calmed down. Obviously, I have avoided like being downtown since all that started. Yeah. The last I heard, there's still some protesting, but it's actual like I have a sign protesting, not I want to pull you out of your car and set your car on fire.
Yeah.
Which protesting. That's to me more the definition of protesting.
Yes.
Not we're going to run around and throw bricks at people and bust into shops.
That's called shopping.
Yeah. That's called 100% off sale. Yeah. Everything must go.
Including you. I mean,
yeah. Good to see you, Jeffrey. I haven't seen you in a while, man. Good to see you. No riots in the one tavern town near our farm. So how you been, Rob? It's been a little bit since we've talked.
Oh, not too bad. Not too much to complain about. We didn't go totally crazy up here.
You mean Canadians weren't crazy and off the wall?
No. Although, I mean, we did. They did decide to have protests from coast to coast. I'm not exactly sure why, but they did. Other than that, not much.
Yeah, No, go ahead.
Although I do find it absolutely hilarious, and I think the only way I can sum this up is that the only way it makes any sense to me is it had to have gone from somebody did it or said something as a joke, and it is now spiraled out of control because somebody got a hold of it and it went crazy. But there's actually on Twitter, which is just crazy and funny to watch over the last week and a half or so.
It's pretty shit, Joe.
But one of the things that was trending on my feed was that now these people want to cancel Paw Patrol.
What?
Yeah, they want to cancel Paw Patrol.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I've not ever seen it. I know of it because my nieces and nephews, that's what we buy them for like their birthday, is like little Paw Patrol little sets, with the figures and stuff.
Yeah.
I've never actually seen the show, but yeah, that's kind of weird.
Yeah, there's people that are up in arms, ranting and raving that show should be gone because of the police doggy.
Oh, okay. I was getting ready to say, why in the world would Paw Patrol be bad? So there's a police dog that they need to get rid of.
Yes. So yeah, I'm just shaking my head because it's the only way it makes any sense to me is somebody did it as a joke.
Yeah.
And it went viral, and somebody actually went, "Oh yes, that is a good point. That is a good idea." And no, I was kidding, you morons. But yeah,
there was somebody that was very bored, and they're like, "Hey, I'm going to put this," and like you said, somebody looked at it, and somebody looked at it, and then they looked at it, and somebody else looked at it, and they're like, "Hell yeah, cancel Paw Patrol."
Yeah. Some people just are not very bright. Just give me 1 minute. I gotta run to the washroom. I'll be right back.
Okay. Fuel the hatred. Good to see you, man. Well, it's kind of started and not started. We've just been BSing here at the beginning. We haven't actually got into any topics yet. So you didn't miss the topical part. You just missed the beginning. But you are close. Yes, you are close. Let's see. I started 30 minutes ago. So yeah, you're pretty close. I hope you're doing well. I hadn't talked to you in a while. Yeah, the virtual book burning. Yeah. JJ, how are you, brother?
What's going on, guys? What's going on?
Did you have a good lunch?
Yeah, I kind of choked it down real quick. They were in the middle of a shift change, and only had 1 cup of coffee. With the lockdown and everything, I've gotten used to not having too much coffee, so 1 cup did me. Yeah, I'm gonna say one thing and one thing only. Everybody that's going through all this bullshit right now needs to grow the fuck up and act like fucking grown, responsible adults and stop acting like spoiled brats. Period. End of story.
Afternoon, Captain Trek.
What's up, Trek? Good to see you, brother. I'm not a political person, but I know when stupidity arises, and this is just flat out fucking stupid.
Tubian. Hello, Tubian.
What's up, Rob?
That is true, Casparius. They're trying to neuter history, neuter media. So it may be a good idea to get physical copies of some books that you think could be eventually gone from the internet, so to speak.
Yeah, and absolutely, because even like as a war buff that I am, the other day I was watching a World War I video on YouTube. I had to manually select because it actually I loaded up the video, and YouTube made me manually select that. Yes, I really wanted to watch this video because YouTube has selected it because it might be offensive to some viewers.
Oh, really?
I watch a lot of music reaction videos, and I come across that time to time just with those. So I think it's just a precaution. I don't think it has really anything to do with what's going on unless the autopilot's changed it or.
Yeah. I've never had that happen for a World War I video. It was just weird.
Well, with the current state of affairs throughout the world, I think they're trying to, put things in place to where, hey, be warned. If you want to watch it, go ahead. That's your choice. But they're warning people now, which I think is stupid. It's our history. You can't change our history.
Well, and what's the saying? If you don't learn from your history, you're doomed to repeat it. Something along those lines.
Which is currently going on right now. History always repeats itself. And like I said, people just need to grow the hell up and act responsible. It's okay to protest. It's okay to want justice, man. But come on. You know, you're going out attacking people and starting fires and blah this and blah, blah that. You know, I understand they want justice. But the end result is, oh, guess what? We're going to torch this place, or we're going to rob this place. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. What's the point? It's eventually going to bleed into our own front yards. And what are you going to start doing? Burning down your own neighborhoods? That's just stupid.
Not to mention, you know, the more stuff that gets vandalized and stuff, it eventually comes out of the taxpayer budget anyway. So way to go to cost you more taxes.
Yeah, set cop cars on fire. How do you think they're going to replace those cop cars?
Yeah,
taxpayer dollars, buddy. Yeah. And I mean, we're already going to be in so much tax hell because of the shutdowns.
Yeah,
and companies wanting to recoup money for that. We're already going to be in so much tax hell over that. And although, you know, like the money that was given out by the government for, you know, whatever the case may be, depending on the country, but they've already done all these things to try to help. Well, the only way they're going to recoup that is through taxes. And now you guys are going out and breaking shit so that they have to spend more taxpayer dollars and raise the taxes even more.
Yeah, and right now in the U.S., we right now, as far as our financial state, we are in a recession, just like we were back in 2008, 2009. And it's at that point where it's almost as bad, if not worse. And Jeffrey Nelson pointed out something in the chat: destroying countless businesses. Okay, yeah, you know, businesses have suffered through all this with the break-ins, the looting, the fires. You know, with the beer bug still going on, you know, countless businesses, whether they're private or commercial, or well, let me rephrase that: local businesses or commercial businesses. You know, everybody has suffered. Don't add to it.
Yeah, I mean, you know it's bad because I mean, what was it? 2 days ago, Starbucks announced that they're closing 400 stores in the US and 200 in Canada. So if Starbucks is going, shit, we're closing stuff down because some of those stores are not open.
That's going to piss off a lot of coffee drinkers.
Yeah.
I don't personally care for Starbucks, but
neither do I.
You know, I'll go to a Waffle House over Starbucks any day. I've had Starbucks, and it's overpriced crap.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and you also have to you also have to learn a different language to order a coffee.
Right. And you know what? The couple when I've been to Starbucks countless times, but the first couple times I went, didn't matter where I was. When I asked for just a plain old coffee, they looked at me like I'd lost my mind. You want plain coffee? Yes, coffee.
You're supposed to want all that other crap in it.
No. And then I had to put it out to them, and I had to steal the line from Dennis Leary. You know, it's like, I want coffee flavored coffee. And they looked like I was an alien or something.
Then they got confused and said, "We don't have a syrup for that, sir."
Yeah, exactly. And then I was like, "Where's your cream and sugar?" Okay, all right, it's all over there, but they don't have real sugar. They got this raw. What is it? Real sugar or raw sugar?
Oh yeah.
That don't help at all.
The healthy alternative. Yeah.
That don't help
the
either.
Supposed healthy alternative to sugar. Yes.
Yeah. Sugar in the raw.
Yeah.
It's healthier sugar.
Whatever. I don't care. Give me coffee flavored coffee with some plain old granulated white ass sugar and a glass of water, and leave me the hell alone. What's this other crap? You know, I'm sorry that the businesses are going to be closing, but they need to catch up. You know, everybody likes their frappuccinos and all that good stuff, but I want coffee. I don't want French vanilla. I don't want mocha latte. I don't want here. I want my shit to look this color coffee. I just want some coffee flavored coffee.
I want extra large. And if you ask me to say venti one more damn time,
Yeah.
You can kiss my.
Yeah, I want to be in that meeting where they're like, not only are we going to charge like 5 times as much for a cup of coffee as it costs, we're going to really fuck with people and not call it like small, medium, large.
Hey, Han, let me ask you a question. Since you know, this is your house, your rules. How do you feel about sharing a YouTube video? It's not music. It's just a video.
It depends. It could still fall into copyright stuff since it's somebody else's video.
It's basically a cartoon.
Yeah, you can still run into the same problems as music.
Okay. All right. I'll pull it up after you're done if I'm still here, because I know if you guys start talking about airships, I'm dipping because I'm completely useless. We are
going to talk about airships because that's the point of the stream today.
I know.
I've only done research for 2 weeks, and then I got told, okay, be ready to go Thursday. Okay. So I watched cram all these videos into my head, and then, yeah, we're not going today. Okay.
You're like, damn it.
Then it got all wiped out from his TOS and Enterprise rewatches.
Oh, yes.
Oh, speaking of which, I want to ask you real quick. I know the one you did last night was a double episode that y'all looked at.
Yes.
Is it getting any better for you?
It was a tale of 2 shows. Last night was a tale of 2 shows. The first episode I was okay with. I'm starting to get a little annoyed with the way the Vulcans are being portrayed. And then the second one was god awful.
Well, you know, Archer is always going to have a problem with Vulcans in the beginning. This is just the beginning.
Yeah, it's just
it'll eventually ease itself out. You know, the tension is still going to be there, but the way Archer reacts to the Vulcans and everybody else, even with T'Pol, everything's going to start to change because you should be coming close to about mid-season right now. Yeah. I think there's like 20 episodes, maybe 22. I don't know, but it's going to slowly but surely start fading away.
Yeah, it's just I said it last night in the review last night that to me a lot of the time, especially lately, the portrayal of the Vulcans in Enterprise are almost on par with the way the Romulans were portrayed in TNG, and it just feels off.
Well, they are cousins.
Yes,
and this is a good century before TNG.
Yeah,
so a lot of things have changed. Now I will spoil this a little bit. Within the 4 seasons of Enterprise, they had a couple of run-ins with the Romulans, but not enough to really get into a particular point with them.
Okay.
So I wish they were in there more, but their main thing is basically, you know, Brave New Worlds. They had some disputes with the Klingons and Dorians, but by the end of the first season, you're going to see a big shift.
Okay.
So that's all. That's why I was curious if you were starting to come on to it a little bit more, because the tensions with the Vulcans will eventually fade away and things are going to start changing dramatically in what they encounter. So just be either be prepared or look forward to it. Yeah.
Oh well, for me, it's really interesting because for me now the way my channel's set up is Tuesday I do TOS, Wednesday I do Enterprise, Thursday I do TNG.
Oh, you do TNG also? Awesome.
Yeah. Like Thursdays, and actually, if we look behind the curtain, my Tuesday and Thursday show is recorded Saturday night. So
you've already done the TNG watch and the video.
Yeah. Yeah, because they're recorded because it's done with myself, Captain Trek, and Vance Major from No Budget Productions, who does Star Trek fan films.
Right.
So No Budget, the Vance only has Saturday nights available that he can sit for like 4 hours, and we can watch a full TOS episode, then do the review, and then watch TNG and do the review. So I do karaoke from 9 till midnight, and then midnight till 4 I'm recording. So
Damn it, man! You just came out of nowhere. Now you just balls to the wall doing this. That's good.
yeah, well, a lot of it had to do with my old computer versus the new one.
Which I'm assuming your new one's running like a beast comparatively.
Yeah, I got the new system, so I can actually do stuff. So
That's cool. That's cool.
now I can kind of
How's your internet?
good.
So that's awesome. You know, you can now do things better. You know, I noticed a big shift myself when I got my new computer, because I was working on a 20-year-old laptop, and that thing was just slow. It took everything it had just to mod a stream with everything I have open during a stream. And, no, this thing right here, it handles everything I throw at it. So your equipment makes a big difference.
Yeah.
But with that being said, I'm not. Hey, there's that pretty face. What's up, brother?
Yeah. See, this is the latest addition to the new system. The
Oh,
new camera.
Ah, cool. Is that
Awesome.
1080 or 4K?
1080p.
Cool. I was wondering about that because at the end of your intro, I was curious of who that guy was with the little with the kid. I'm like, is that Rob? I don't remember. Now I know. But anyway, gentlemen, I'm going to step out. I'm going to let you guys talk about your hot air balloons with engines. Y'all have a good show. I'm just going to step out into the back. I'll be in the chat, keeping a watchful eye. Enjoy your conversation.
All right. Take care, brother.
Peace.
So let's talk airships, bro.
All right.
Since that's why we originally decided to be here.
Yeah,
so
let's do that.
Let's start with the mystery of the L8, which is the one I've kind of took the lead on. You know more about the Hindenburg, so
it went boom.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I know that part. Oh, the humanity, I know that part. But we'll start with the L8. It's another one of those mysteries that kind of it stumps me. A lot of mysteries. You can kind of come up with what may have happened
Possible cause.
Yeah, and this is. I mean, there are some theories to it, but all the theories are like, huh? I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah,
which I guess is why it's a mystery. So I'll start by sharing a picture of what I'm talking about. So that's what I'm talking about. The U.S. Navy L-8 blimp airship, dirigible, whatever you want to call it. It was used during World War II to patrol for Japanese submarines off the coast of California, more specifically like the San Francisco area. So its sole purpose was to find submarines and hopefully destroy the submarines if possible. So it did have some armament on it because of said submarine hunting.
Also, don't forget to mention it's also a repurposed Goodyear blimp.
Oh, yeah. Then the Goodyear got it back after the war, I believe.
Yep. It was repurposed, repainted Goodyear blimp.
But yeah, which is kind of funny. Then after the war, Goodyear's like, we'll just take that back.
And it's not technically an airship, that one. That one's...
Really?
Yeah, because it doesn't have the aluminum frame.
Oh, okay. So it's just a blimp.
It's just a blimp. It's not an airship because it doesn't have the aluminum frame.
Oh, okay. I'm not up on all the definitions. of what's a blimp and what's an airship.
Yeah, it doesn't have the wires or any of the mesh. It's just a blimp.
I'm trying to find what I was just talking about. I'm totally unprepared and not organized. What's new with that?
But no, yeah, it's an interesting story.
Yes, it was, which is funny if you put it that way. It's basically an armed Goodyear blimp.
Yeah.
It had two 325-pound Mark 17 depth bombs on like an external rack outside, a 30 caliber machine gun, and 300 rounds of ammunition for the machine gun. So its total mission was just to hang around, spot Japanese submarines, and try to sink them.
Yeah,
just off of San Francisco. So the day started like any other day. It sounds like it was going to go up in the morning and do its patrol mission, and it had a 2-man crew in it: Lieutenant Ernest Dewitt Cody and Ensign Charles Ellis Adams, who were both Navy veterans, had exemplary service records. Nothing off about their service records, or from what I could find, them in general. So one of them was actually a graduate of Annapolis. Cody graduated at Annapolis and became a naval airship aviator.
Yes. And one of them was actually at the Hindenburg crash, too.
Really? See,
yeah.
You always do way more research than me. You make me look bad. In a good way.
I just can't remember which one at this point, but yeah. One of them was at the Hindenburg crash. Also, one of them was at one of the other airship crashes that the United States had.
So the flight that morning was scheduled to fly to the Farallon Islands, which are like 30 miles west of San Francisco, then head north to Point Reyes and south to Montara Beach before returning to Treasure Island, which is there at San Francisco, where the blimp took off from. So the patrol should have took 4 hours. So they should have returned to base somewhere between 10 and 10:30 a.m. in the morning. So the flight starts out normally. They take off. They're out there doing blimp stuff. And this blimp, apparently, this model had a reputation as being an excellent flyer. During 1,092 trips aloft, it had required no more than the usual maintenance and repair. It had been inspected 4 days prior to their patrol, and everything was fine. So at 6:03 in the morning, they take off from Treasure Island. The winds were light, variable 4 knots per hour. The ceiling of 800 to 1,000 feet. Slightly overcast, but good visibility at 3 to 5 miles. So their mission was to patrol within a 50-mile radius of San Francisco. So after they pass over the Golden Gate Bridge, they turn towards the Farallon Islands. At 7:38, an hour and a half into the patrol, he radioed the position of the ship as being 4 miles east of the Farallons, or Farallons, however you say that. 4 minutes later, he sent a second message: investigating suspicious oil slick, stand by. So an oil slick in the water could indicate an enemy submarine lurking below the waves, so it's not surprising that they would investigate that. So they dropped 2 Mark IV float lights and began scrutinizing the area. I guess they marked it so they wouldn't lose it with like smoke flares.
Yes.
And then began to circle and inspect the area.
And also lowered their altitude.
To see if it was in fact a submarine or not. Yeah, so at that point, it circled at 200 to 300 feet. At one point, descending to 30 foot above the waves. So, I mean, it's pretty low to the ocean. Then, shortly after 9 a.m., they dropped ballast, rose, and headed back towards San Francisco. Saying since blimps regularly patrol the California coast, nobody thought L8's movement seemed unusual. But that was the last. Here's where we get to the dun dun dun. But that was the last time Cody and Adams were ever seen or heard from. So this is when we get into the mystery.
Mm-hmm.
So in its last message at 7:42 before circling the oil slick, that's the last time anybody heard from it. After that, they tried to establish radio contact with them with no success. The headquarters, of course, bureaucracy in the military. Nobody actually told headquarters they couldn't get a hold of the blimp until like almost an hour later. But it wasn't unusual for blimps to lose contact during a patrol. And they had more than enough fuel to return to base, so they weren't really that worried about it. But by almost 9 in the morning, they still hadn't been able to get contact with them. They didn't respond, so they sent out 2 Kingfisher float planes to search for the blimp.
Well, they also sent out a kind of like a if you see our blimp, please let us know.
They put out kind of they put out kind of like an all points bulletin.
Yeah, if you see our blimp, could you let us know, please?
Wait, we're looking for a blimp. You know those big things that float in the sky. Could you tell us if you see one that says Navy on the side of it? So let's see. The next indication of its whereabouts came at 10:49 in the morning when a Pan American Clipper pilot reported seeing the blimp over the Golden Gate Bridge. But he said it didn't appear anything was wrong with it. It appeared to be under control and heading back to base. Then at 11, one of the Kingfishers that they scrambled looking for the blimp saw it 3 miles west of Salada Beach, rising through the overcast at 2,000 feet. A few minutes later, though, the blimp began to descend, disappearing into the clouds. Disappearing into the clouds. Nothing indicated it was not in controlled flight. But 2,000 feet was close to the blimp's pressure height, the altitude where its valves would automatically open and vent helium, unlike hydrogen, which we'll talk about in a little while.
Yes.
To prevent its gas cells from bursting. So normally they would have avoided surpassing that height, but for some reason they had ignored the restriction, which we'll find out later maybe why the restriction was ignored. So you have another sighting. An Army P-38 pilot spotted the blimp near Mile Rock. He noticed nothing amiss, assuming it was headed to Treasure Island. A few minutes later, Richard Quam, an off-duty seaman heading for a day at the beach, was driving along the coastal highway between San Mateo and San Francisco. He spotted L8 in the distance and noted the blimp was bent in the middle. So now we're starting to see that something's not quite right. So it apparently it's lost enough helium that it's bending in the middle,
which could have been from it going above its restriction.
Yeah, and it automatically venting enough gas to drop it below its restriction.
Yeah.
He actually stopped and snapped a picture of it, and the film would soon be confiscated by authorities. Let's see. So approximately 5 hours after the L8 left Treasure Island, the blimp approached the shore of Ocean Beach, San Francisco, about a mile south of Fort Funston. A solitary base. I can't even talk. I'm still waking up. A solitary bather noticed the blimp hanging 50 feet offshore, its motor silent. L8's bag was sagging noticeably as it moved broadside to the wind, only 50 feet above the water. So something is clearly amiss.
Yeah, something ain't right.
The blimp touched down briefly on the beach, then moved inland until its gondola hit the side of a hill, packing the starboard engine with dirt and leaves and bending its propellers. The blow also knocked one of the depth charges loose, which rolled downhill before coming to a stop. That's also great.
Yeah, well,
Good.
luckily for them, it needs water to explode.
And let's see. Suddenly free of 325 pounds, L8 then rose, cleared the embankment, and disappeared again. So you have people that see the blimp. It's not really that great of a gap. It's the blimp's fine, and all of a sudden it's not fine.
Yeah.
It's like 1 minute everything's cool, and the next minute it's obviously vented gas, and it's just like aimlessly flopping around. The motors have quit or not running anymore, and it's like dragging the ground, and depth bombs are falling off of it.
Yeah. This is not a good day all the way around.
So Sunday morning, golfers at San Francisco's Olympic Club stopped to watch the blimp limp by overhead. They probably didn't realize the remaining depth charge could only detonate by water pressure, which you were just talking about.
Yeah.
Which is why they gave it a wide berth. One club member reporting having seen a parachute descend from L8 while the blimp was still offshore. And he wasn't the only one to see something of the crew. 17-year-old C.E. Taylor told the San Francisco Bulletin, "I put my binoculars on it and could see figures inside the cabin." So supposedly people are still seeing crew members. One guy says he sees somebody parachute out of it, which there were parachutes on board. But we'll find out later that that's probably not the case.
No.
So L8 finally descends toward Daly City, a suburb 2 blocks south of San Francisco's county line, striking the roofs of several homes. Ethel Appleton heard the blimp's drag line across her own rooftop and instinctively grabbed her 8-year-old daughter, concerned for their safety. Richard L. Johnston was outside polishing his car and noticed the partially deflated blimp overhead. He rushed to protect his mother. Let's see. Finally, at 11:30 a.m., L8 came to rest in the middle of the 400 block of Bellevue Avenue. The blimp's cabin nosed into a utility pole, breaking off the cross arm. The force of the collision swung the blimp's tail into electrical wires. Fortunately, the fuel supply on the blimp didn't ignite the fuel supply for the engines, but it did puncture the blimp's envelope, and the blimp slid to the ground tail first, and also fell on somebody's car.
Oops.
Yeah, so it's I'll share that picture of the state of the airship when it's basically found, when it finally touches back down. So that's what we're talking about there. It finally comes to rest in like a neighborhood. It hits the power lines, hits a power pole, hits somebody's car. Everybody's freaking out and like grabbing their kids and like, oh, what the hell's going on? So the blimp is now just laying in like a suburban street.
Also in that picture, note the open door.
Oh,
Comes
yeah.
in handy later.
Yeah, I forgot. See, you always know all the detail stuff, man. Yeah, you will note the open door of the cockpit. So firemen soon surround the blimp. They slash its envelope in an effort to free the crew they thought must be trapped inside. But they see no sign of Cody or Adams. As a precaution, authorities set up a perimeter around the crash site, and firemen lashed the remaining depth bomb to the gondola. Later that day, 40 men from NAS Moffett Field and another 50 from a nearby army post set out to locate the missing depth charge. They had retrieved it by 3 p.m. Unfortunately, they still can't find Cody and Adams. They're nowhere to be found. So how did 2 naval officers vanish from one of the most heavily trafficked areas between San Francisco and the Farallon Islands while their blimp was being tracked by ships, planes, not to mention people on the ground? So, it's like everything else. There's rumors that a warm cup of coffee and a half-eaten sandwich were found in the cabin, and of course, that's untrue.
Yes. And the other thing too is one thing I read too was it wasn't the firemen that were first on the scene. It was people within that neighborhood that raced in first and then couldn't find anybody.
Yeah, and from what I've read, they're in fact the ones that opened the door.
Yes. And the door with the suspicious part about the door is that not only was it open, but it was in the open and latched position. So somebody had to latch that door open.
Yeah. So the military finally gets there, which is kind of funny because they make it sound like, 2 days later, the military shows up. I mean, it wasn't that long, but you would still think somebody's like, hey guys, your blimp's in my front yard. You would think they would show up a bit more hastily than eventually they show up.
Yeah. We'll get around to it.
Yeah. So they show up like, let me see the times. It's like 3 or 4 hours later, they finally show up after it's fell. And like you said, that now you've had firemen, locals, all over the blimp.
Yes.
Obviously looking for the 2 crew members. So they inspected the cabin. All 3 of its parachutes were still on board. And its life raft was also on board. 2 of the 5 smoke bombs were missing, but those were the ones they used to mark the oil slick that they were investigating. A briefcase that contained classified material was also still on board, found behind the pilot's seat. The engines were in perfect working order. The ignition switches were on, and the instruments and flight controls operated normally. It had 4 hours of gas remaining in the fuel tanks. So basically, other than the crew not being there, it was
everything looked
fine. There was no reason for it to be in somebody's front yard. Everything was great. 2 of the 3 life jackets were missing, but the regulations did require them to wear the life jackets while patrolling over water. So if the men disappeared, then it makes sense that the life jackets would have been with them.
Yeah.
So the only thing that was slightly strange was the blimp's batteries were drained and a part of its fuel supply had been dumped. Normally, a blimp wouldn't dump its fuel unless it needed to increase buoyancy in a hurry. Since L8 didn't seem to have that need, it wasn't clear why the fuel had been lost and its engines idled. So the Navy launches a extensive search for the missing airmen. They spent the night combing the area where the L8 had been drifting offshore, and all around San Francisco. For the next 3 days, ships, planes of the Navy and the Coast Guard searched the Pacific, but despite calm seas and good visibility, they still couldn't find any sign at all of the 2 airmen, Cody and Adams, that were on board.
Yes.
So their wives are notified that they're missing. Somebody, of course, asked, this is World War II. Somebody asked, could the L8 have been attacked by the enemy? And the Navy's like, it's a very remote chance, but, you can't really rule that out. But he says it didn't show anything that.
Yeah, there was no sign of a struggle.
Yeah, there was no sign of any kind of struggle or anything like that.
And then one of the other rumors is that they fought each other and one threw one off, threw one out of the airship and then fell out himself.
So they eventually have an inquiry, of course, like a Naval Board of Investigation. It was a 7-day inquiry that took testimony from civilians as well as Navy personnel, and it eventually established no fire, no submersion, no misconduct, no missile struck the L-8. So there again, it's like, why did this happen?
Mm-hmm.
Witnesses from Daisy Gray and Gallatin testified that during the time they were watching the blimp, its crew was aboard, the engines were running, and they saw no one fall from the cabin. So, and here's a little footnote. I know you like footnotes. Ironically, the Gallatin would be sunk in January 1944 by I-26, a Japanese submarine operating in the same waters L-8 had been patrolling 2 years before.
Mm-hmm.
So the crew of that ship testifies about that airship, and then it's sunk by a Japanese submarine, which was the purpose of the airship being out there.
Yeah.
Kind of ironic.
Just a little bit.
So they end up calling 35 witnesses in the inquiry, and basically they can find absolutely no answers. Why did they stop broadcasting? Their radio was working. What would cause the men to leave the ship mid-flight? And what happened between the time they spotted the oil slick and the point when the L-8 came ashore at Ocean Beach around 11:15 a.m.
Yes.
So I mean, it's basically roughly 3 hours between when they see the oil slick and when the blimp lands in a suburban street.
Yeah, this is another day at the office. No big deal.
So here's some of the like you were talking about. Here's some of the theories. They were captured by a Japanese sub. They were spying for Japan and rendezvoused. Oh, some of them were. They were captured by a Japanese sub. They were spying for Japan and rendezvoused with an I-boat to escape. That's one of the theories.
Yeah.
A stowaway had somehow overpowered the two men and then somehow vanished as well.
Yeah. There's no place to hide on that.
Yeah. Their disappearance was an AWOL scheme gone awry.
Yeah.
That would be a very crazy scheme. Let's
Very
just
dumb
disappear. One. Let's just disappear from the blimp. Let's see. One crewman, that's what you're talking about. One crewman murdered the other one and threw him overboard. Oh, never mind. Well, let me start that over. One crewman murdered the other over a woman.
Yes.
Dumped his body and then fell overboard himself.
Yes.
So I guess while he was throwing him out of the cabin, oh shit, we both went.
Yeah. Yeah, oh darn.
A rogue wave swept both men away. The L-8 had temporarily dipped into the ocean, washing both men away.
Which they later found out that there was still dust in the cabin, so there's no way that could happen.
That didn't happen. And then everybody's favorite, because this is always an answer for everything. They were abducted by aliens.
Oh yeah.
If we can't really figure out what's going on, it was the damn aliens.
Oh, absolutely.
But it's this one just still puzzles me, man, because they were both, in theory, wearing life jackets.
Yeah.
And it was calm seas. It was some calm days while they're searching. You would think they would at least found them or found their life jackets or something.
But they never did. Unlike the Hindenburg, which we'll talk about later, they still don't have any bloody clue how this happened. Hindenburg, they've pretty much nailed it down, but
yeah, it's just crazy. Let's see. The findings from the Naval Inquiry suggest they may have also been issues with the safety latch on L8's door. You were talking about the door earlier.
Yeah.
Doubts as to the fastening of the safety lock at takeoff and the adequacy of the latch suggest the possibility that the latch might have been released accidentally, permitting the passenger to fall out. Failure to use the radio or the life raft might indicate the pilot hoped to recover the passenger very quickly. The fact that both engines were stopped might be explained by the pilot's attempt to slow the airship while heading into a very light breeze. The open door latch full forward, the microphone and radio headset hanging out the door lead credence to this theory. In this attempt, In such an attempt, the pilot might have himself gone overboard. No other adequate explanation offers itself for the abandonment of the airworthy airship.
Yeah.
So that's the most plausible theory, I guess they can
Somebody
come up
fell
with.
out a door.
And the other guy tried to keep him from staying in the water and get him back, and he accidentally fell out the door too.
Yeah.
But it still goes back to where were the life jackets?
Yeah.
Because even if they weren't in the cabins, they obviously went somewhere. So even if they didn't have them on, you would think they would at least have washed up or been found somewhere.
You'd think. But nope, no sign of them. They just gone.
And I mean, from the research I've looked at to this day, they've never been found. No more evidence. Nothing's ever been found.
No. They owed Bubba a whole bunch of money, and they just went, F it.
Yeah.
Time to go.
So a year after they went missing, they were legally declared dead. The Navy closed the book on this incident, officially classifying it as 100% unknown, undetermined.
Yeah. Don't know. But they're dead. We do know that.
Yeah. Well, I would say, yeah, it's the end of this article is kind of funny. It's unlikely now their bodies will ever be found. No shit.
You think?
This was during World War II. And as populated as the San Francisco Bay Area is now. If there was any between then and now, if there was anything to be found, it would have been found.
Yeah. And the best part is that airship or the blimp, it ended up like flying the next week and served the rest of the war, and then post-war went back to Goodyear.
Yeah, it was quickly repaired and resumed duty as a training vessel. When World War II ended, the Navy returned the Blimp to Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company, which refurbished its cabin and renamed the craft America. The Blimp traveled around the nation televising sporting events from 1969 until 1982 when it was retired. In 2003, Goodyear donated the control car to the Naval Aviation Museum in Pensacola, Florida, where it was restored. It's now on display in the same configurations and markings that it had when it was the L8 in 1942.
Yeah.
So I normally have theories on all kinds of stuff like that, but I'm kind of at a loss on that one.
Yeah, it doesn't make much sense. And I mean, there was people watching it when it was looking for the subs. I mean, if you'd think if somebody fell out, it'd be like, yeah, some dude just fell out of there, and then another couple minutes later, another dude fell out of there.
Yeah, that's to me, that's the oddest thing about it is almost the entire time they're patrolling, they're in view of people from the shore, from ships. But somehow this happens and nobody sees them disappear or where they went or what happened to them.
Yeah. No, it makes no sense. They're just gone.
I could see the theory. The thing that bothers me about the theory of like, oh, you leaned against the door and the latch was bad and the door fell open. And you're like, oh shit. And you fall out. And I'm like, oh damn, I'll save you. Instead of radioing in that you fell out, I'm just going to save you. And oh shit, I fell out too.
Yeah, and the door being open can be explained by the people rushing the cabin.
Yeah, because they thought the crew was inside. They thought maybe somebody was hurt, so they fling the door open, and there's nobody in there.
And because of the way that the cabin was sitting upright, you'd have to latch the door to be able to get in. Because otherwise, the minute you let go of the door, it's swinging back to hit you in the head. So they'd have to latch the door to keep it in place. So it's, normally stories like this, you kind of get your plausible ideals. Yes. And sometimes things that seem to be like super odd or conspiracies, you just have to actually sit there and think about it and like, well, no, it's probably just this. This one kind of stumps me. Yeah, it's one of those that it's just there's no answer for it.
I mean, there's lots of theories, and some of them are probably one of them at least is, I guess, right or partly right because they're not around anymore. But it's kind of an odd turn of events and an odd situation that all that stuff combined together and in a populated. I mean, just think how buzzing San Francisco, I'm sure, was in during World War II. So there's people everywhere.
Yeah.
And you have a big naval presence.
Yeah, and they're being watched by boats when they're doing their search. So it's not even like, well, okay, well, when they were doing their search, nobody was watching them. But that's not even the case either. It just, they're gone. They're bye-bye. So either when they fell out, they weren't, they were too close to the water and nobody saw it. And then once they hit the water, they're done. But then you'd think something would wash up. But
yeah, I mean, if they were wearing life, I mean, I know currents and all that stuff can be crazy, but I'm sure that the Navy and Coast Guard, I'm sure they searched a pretty decent size area, not just like right there.
Yeah, not just okay. So you say it was over there? I don't see anything. Let's go home.
The Navy and the Coast Guard knows that if things hit the water, they can be taken other places by current. So I'm sure they did like a search area or a search grid. So even if they were like dead floating in their life jackets, you think they would have found them.
Yes.
But that one's always been kind of interesting to me because it's a truly unsolved mystery that doesn't really have that many plausible theories other than aliens.
Yeah, other than aliens or, the Enterprise is real and they got beamed out.
Yeah, it could have been. Yeah. And a Japanese sub just surfaced.
Oh yeah,
in the San Francisco Bay, and they got on board. We're like, peace out, motherfuckers.
Yeah, we're done. Thanks.
And nobody noticed.
Or the really whacked one was that they found the sub, and somehow a crew member from the sub got aboard the airship, killed them, and then left. And it's like, well, how the hell did they get on the airship? Is my question for that to be even plausible.
Well, even when they went as low as like 50 foot above the sea or something like that, I think it said there was boats watching them do it.
Yeah.
So if a sub popped up, a Japanese seaman jumped off the sub onto the ship, and they had like a melee.
Yeah.
And then jumped back in the submarine, people would have seen that.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Because there were several people actively watched them search the oil slick area that they thought could possibly be a sign of a submarine.
Yeah, it's like, ooh, we'll get to see some action today, boys.
Oh, Kasparis, he figured it out. It was obvious. They were shunted to a parallel universe where the baddies won the war and stuffing went to crud and hit the fan.
Yeah, there you go.
So that's the mystery of the L8, the Navy L8 blimp, which I haven't been to the Naval Aviation Museum in Pensacola in a long time. I don't remember if that was there. I went a long time ago when I was in high school, but I don't remember what was there. So I may have actually seen the control cabin from the L8, and I just don't remember it. So I need to go back down there and check it out. So that brings us
to see.
Yeah, and take some pictures of it and see if there's sign. Of course, they refurbished it, so there's probably not signs of like alien claw marks on it or anything. They buff those out.
Yeah, they just buff right out. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, they pressure washed the inside and got all the goo out of it and buffed out the scratches on the side.
Yeah. The fingernail writing on the wall of "Help me." You've got painted over. Don't worry about it. It's all good. Leftover anal probes were taken away, and it's all good. Don't worry about
it. Kasparis has so many good theories. The subsurface, like in the Hunt for Red October, they armed soldiers into the torpedo and shot them up towards the blimp.
Yeah, there you go.
That's how they got the bad guys on board. Or jetpacks.
Yeah, jetpacks. Yeah, that'll work.
Yeah, they either shot Japanese soldiers out of the torpedo tubes or they had jetpacks.
Or a new theory, Sith did it.
Yeah, it could have been Sith. Yeah, if all
Notice
else
how
fails,
he didn't want to be up here once we started talking about it.
yeah. If all
Sith
else
did it.
fails, blame JJ.
Yeah, Sith did it.
Nobody, in fact, knows his whereabouts while this happened.
Yes.
Could be because he wasn't born yet, or
Details.
or he's a time traveler, and he did it.
Details.
That's the story of the Navy L8 mystery, which will probably never actually really be solved unless some weird stuff happens, and they find which still wouldn't really solve the mystery, but like some small chance they find like a life jacket or something somewhere. Yeah. Or remains of something to do with either of the airmen. There's not really going to be any closure to the story, really, other than something happened and we don't know what. And we think they're dead, which is basically what the Navy said.
Pretty much.
So that brings us to our next topic, which is more of your lead topic because I didn't do much, if any, research on the Hindenburg. So I'll let you take the lead on the Hindenburg.
Okay, so in 1937, it went boom. So what are we talking about next?
No. In 1937, it went boom. Oh, the humanity. The end.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the Hindenburg was the pride of the, and now I've got to be careful how I say this. Okay, it was the pride of Germany's airship fleet. There we go.
Yeah,
I could call it that, right? You're not going to yell at me.
In a time that Germany wasn't the greatest people.
Yes, it was actually funded by that certain political party.
Yeah.
Now unlike the Blimp that we were talking about, this is a proper airship. So it's got. You have to think inside the inner skin. It has a full metal frame with tension lines, metal cable. So it's got the full frame. It's got the metal cables. This is an airship. That's the difference. The airships have the frames. The blimps don't. So this thing had been, it had flown before. It's not its maiden voyage like the Titanic. So this is where it gets a little weird. And the other problem is you've got to remember what's going on in the world at this point. The powers that be in Germany are not liked all that much. And there's obviously later on it's determined that there was actual threats against the Hindenburg flight.
So here, not to interrupt you, but here's a picture of the framing inside the airship.
Yes. So because it's got that framing, so you'll see here the metal frame, and then there's these wires that are all the way interconnected in there, and then the outer shell goes around that.
So it's not a glorified hot air balloon.
That's correct.
It actually has structure and stuff to it.
It has a structure and stuff to it, yeah. So, now this is its first actual flight to New York, which is the big thing, right? It's the first transatlantic that it's going to be able to do. Big. So all the eyes are on it, everything else. And the thing to remember is not only is the captain and these really high paid people, so people paid a lot of money, up to like $4,000 a ticket in today's money, to be on this thing, because this is going to be the next thing that compared to ocean liners, this is going to be the next way that big rich people get across the ocean. So you have a civilian portion, and they're only allowed in certain portions of the of the ship itself, the airship. And then below that, you have the crew. And the crew has a special guest for this trip, which is somebody from the political party that shall not be mentioned, to ensure that this goes to plan. So they leave Germany, and everything's going well. The only problem is they're going across the Atlantic. They hit a very strong a headwind, which puts them 12 hours behind. And so they arrive. It's a little stormy. So they wait till after the storm passes. And there's still lightning off in the distance. But they've got to get this ship down because they've got to do the turnaround flight. Right? So normally where they would have 16 hours to do the turnaround, they have to relaunch at 10 o'clock the next morning. It's already 7, 8 o'clock at night. And so they finally get the go ahead to land the airship. And they go in and they go to line up, and they're not quite there. And the captain of the airship has an opportunity. He either A, does a full turnaround, circles the landing, and comes and relines himself up, or he takes a shortcut. He decides to do the shortcut. He takes a quick, hard turn to the left, followed by a hard turn to the right to line up with the post they have to that the airship attaches to, and they pull down the airship. So once he lines up with his mooring post, they drop the cables. Now it's seen from down on the ground that right by the tail fin on the top, there seems to be a little bit of like a flutter. And then that's where the fire starts. Everybody says that's where they see the fire start. And it's right after the cables hit the ground. So the cables hit the ground, and then a couple seconds later, there's a little bit of a spark, and then a flame from the top. And then within 35 seconds, the Hindenburg goes up like a lit match. And it crashes to the ground in an inferno. And so that's basically the tragedy of it. Now, there was, like I say, because of who was in charge at the time in Germany, and the fact that they had markings, and this was the pride of Germany, there had been basically a death threat that somebody was going to sabotage this thing.
Yeah.
Now, at the time, there was only... So the first thing that they do is they go, okay, well, we got to rule out sabotage. Now, the only person among the crew, like the passengers, that could have done it would have been this gentleman who had a dog. He was bringing a dog back with him. So he had to go and feed the dog. Well, to do that, he was granted access to restricted areas so that he could go feed his dog. But the problem is if he sets off the bomb, the area that he's gotten directed to was at the bottom of the airship, not at the top.
Yeah.
So for him to set off a bomb up there makes no logical sense. Why would you go through all that climbing and stuff to set off a bomb at the top of the airship when it would have been much easier for you to sneak in a bomb at the bottom?
And it would have still had the same ultimate end.
Yeah, it would have the same.
No matter where you set the bomb off at, it was going to go up like a lit match.
Yeah, it's got the same conclusion. So then the other issue was, okay, so it can't be that. So they ruled that out and cleared him. Then the other thing they were thinking about was, well, the engines were powered by diesel. So maybe it was a diesel line leak, because airships at the time were known to have diesel leaks. So maybe it was a diesel issue. That got ruled out. So they basically were able to rule out most of everything, and then they basically blamed it on the hydrogen, because at the time, Germany was still using hydrogen for their airships. And the reason they were using hydrogen instead of helium was because the United States wouldn't sell them any.
Yeah, which makes sense under that political climate.
Absolutely. Okay. So they did not want them to use airships against Britain. So helium was kind of restricted, and the major supplier was the United States. And the United States were like, yeah, we're not selling to you. Go away. So they used hydrogen. So for many years, it was, well, it had to be a bomb, or it had to be sabotage, or it had to be something else. The official line was it was pilot error. And as we'll find out once we get through all the discussion about it, it actually is. It later on, it's determined what actually happened, and the best running theory on it is, I don't know if you want me to get into that, or if you want to talk more about just some of the fun of it.
We can go fun first and do the best theory at the end to kind of round it out.
All right. So yeah, so they were like I say, the only three people that knew that there was an actual threat to the Hindenburg was a couple of people back in Germany, the captain of the ship, who had captained it many, many, many times. So this isn't like new captain and oh darn, I made a mistake. So the captain was an established captain. He had captained the Hindenburg many times. He knew what he was doing. He was experienced. The other person who knew was a representative of the party who happened to be on this flight to make sure that it went as smoothly as possible and made Germany look the best it could.
Yeah.
Which we'll later on find out probably played a big part into why the Hindenburg tragedy actually happened. The other thing was the fact that they had come in during a storm and landed during not ideal conditions. As a matter of fact, the person in the Germany counterpart in Germany, who was the head for the Zeppelin company, lost his ever-loving mind when he found out what conditions they did a landing under, because they never should have done the landing at that point. It was too dangerous and way above safety protocols to do a landing under those weather conditions. They should have waited.
Yeah, because you have an electrical storm and a really huge thing full of hydrogen.
Yeah,
not the best ideal.
No, not the best ideal at all. It's very stupid. However, they were under a lot of pressure to, one, be on time, which they're already 12 hours behind. And if you've ever been in a job of any description and found out what happens, what your bosses are like when you're running behind schedule, I'm pretty sure the party representative was not exactly going, yeah, don't worry, Captain, take as much time as you need.
Yeah, I'm sure it was 100% the opposite.
Yeah,
you're already 12 hours behind. You either get us on the ground or you don't want to go back to Germany again.
Yeah, you may not want to come with us on the return trip, because when I get you back, we're gonna have some long conversations. Yeah. So basically, what ends up happening is they write it off as pilot error, and due to bad weather and pilot error, and they always blamed the hydrogen. But there's of course, because there's not a definite on it, there's always been, up until quite recently, maybe it had to have been sabotage, right? Just to romanticize the sabotage idea,
which
it had
which
to have
is
been.
for that time and the way things were in the world, that is a valid thought.
Yes.
Especially there was already threats against it. You know,
Yes.
it's a very huge symbol of the government in Germany at the time. So that would make sense that somebody did it to prove a point. And it, you know.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the way in which the Hindenburg went up, for it to be anything other than the hydrogen, it just, the numbers doesn't add up.
Yeah.
So it had to have been the hydrogen. Also, there's some really good telling features. So what happens, what the established ideal of what happened is when the captain makes the hard left and the hard right, which those airships were never meant to do. They were never meant to make hard turns either way. It puts too much stress on the on the frame. What happens, what's believed to have happened, and the most accepted idea now, is when he makes the hard left turn, so much pressure is put on the frame that one of those cables snaps. And when it snaps, it cuts a hole in one of the top of the bags of the helium at the back. So the fluttering that people see from the ground is helium hitting the canvas.
Hydrogen.
Hydrogen hitting the canvas.
Yeah, which makes sense of people seeing the fluttering.
The fluttering, right? So it's not escaping, it's just hitting the canvas.
Yeah.
Then, because what you have to remember is airships, one of the major things that they were known for to do is to conduct electricity just on a normal crossing. So with the electrical storm, they conduct a lot of electricity. So what the cause of it is when they drop, as long as the airship stays in the air, they're fine. The Hindenburg wouldn't have gone up. What sets the Hindenburg up into flames is when they drop the cables to the ground. So what ends up happening is you automatically, when you drop those cables down, the metal frame, the electricity goes from the metal frame into the cables and down to the ground. So you've grounded the metal frame.
Yeah.
The outer shell, however, does not de-electrify as quickly as the metal frame. So you still have a static charge on the outer shell. So the outer shell is still electrified, the metal frame is not. So a spark goes from the outer shell to the metal frame, igniting the hydrogen, and up goes the Hindenburg in 35 seconds.
Which makes sense.
Yes, it is actually the only. They did testing with modern apparatus, and the person who did the testing for many years studies aircraft disasters. So he goes to these disasters and he goes, okay, this is what happened. And he did a study on the Hindenburg, went through all of the reports, everything else, and they did actual tests, and this is the only way that the Hindenburg goes up in 35 seconds.
Yeah, because the only way sabotage would have even made it look like that or act like that would be if it was just like some sort of incendiary device. Obviously, it wasn't a bomb. If it was a bomb, it would have just blown up.
That's right.
I mean, it would have burned, but it would have just went kaboom. Not
Yes.
Fire started and ravaged quickly through the blimp because of it being hydrogen.
Yeah. See, and the other problem they had with the hydrogen theory is a lot of people reported seeing orange flame. Well, the problem with the hydrogen theory is if it's a hydrogen fire, it's going to be invisible. Hydrogen burns clear. Hydrogen doesn't burn orange. So that was one of the proponents against it being a hydrogen fire, was the fact that, well, people said it was an orange glow. If it's an orange glow, it can't be hydrogen because hydrogen burns clear.
Yeah.
But it was proven that what people seen the orange glow was not the hydrogen lighting on fire, but the outer shell.
Yeah, I think the Mythbusters actually did a show one time where they like recreated the skin of the Hindenburg and showed how it burned.
Yeah. And that burns actually too slow for it to, because the other theory was that it was the outer shell that caught fire instead of the hydrogen. But it was the only thing that takes the Hindenburg down that quickly is a chain reaction with the hydrogen.
Yeah.
It's the only thing. Otherwise, it's too long. The burn period is too long.
Yeah, because it goes up like a Roman candle. Poof.
Yeah. Gone. Done.
I'm sure most people have seen the video, or the footage from that.
Yeah. And what the biggest mistakes were the hard left turn, because that breaks the cable and cuts the bag. And then they could have stayed aloft for ever, and they would have just been dropping hydrogen, leaking hydrogen. But if they had waited for the ship to lose its electrical charge and then drop the cables, it's very conceivable that they could have landed the Hindenburg. It would have just been, oh, darn, look at that. We've got to repair that before we take off again. But because they didn't wait and the ship was still charged with electricity, it was the electricity that the electric charge that ended up setting off the hydrogen.
Yeah.
So if they had just waited like they were supposed to do and followed procedure and not been in such a rush to get the Hindenburg down, it very likely could have still landed safely, even with the hole to the hydrogen.
Which goes back to the pressure of having a government minder on board and them already being 12 hours late.
Absolutely.
You have somebody breathing over your shoulder like, no, you're not going to be safe. You're going to put the damn thing down now because I told you to.
Yeah, because we have to. We've got to be back in the air by 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. We have a schedule to keep, and we will keep it. You will not embarrass Germany any further. We're already over 16 hours late. Get the ship on the ground.
In turn, they were very, very late getting back to Germany.
Oh, very, very late.
Like never.
Like never, yeah. Which actually ended the Zeppelin program.
Yeah, because hydrogen was not the best gas to be using.
Yes.
Because of its flammability.
Yeah, and the United States wouldn't sell them helium. Yeah. Minor detail.
And in a way, it kind of ended airship travel as a whole
Yeah.
is being like a viable, like you said, it was supposed to be a viable
Alternative.
transatlantic alternative. Yeah. Like a big Titanic in the sky almost.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, they could have continued, but not the way that they were, because they couldn't get the helium, which means they couldn't get rid of the hydrogen, and so they just ended up, because if the fear was that if they sold them the helium, the blimp would be used against Britain.
Yeah.
For war purposes. So the United States was like, yeah, no, we're not doing that.
They're like, but no, we really just want to use it for traveling with people. And they're like, yeah, we don't believe you.
Yeah. and besides, we're having too much fun changing our voices with helium. Have you ever tried this shit? So no, you don't get any.
I imagine the guy on the other end of the phone actively doing that while he's telling them no.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, yeah, no, we're having too much fun with our helium, so you can go away.
Oh, so that's our second airship story today, or blimp airship. One a mystery and one not really a mystery when you really pick it apart and look at the evidence. Yeah, it was a chain reaction of bad decisions.
Oh, very bad decisions.
Well, yeah, obviously, very bad decisions. Yeah, that's always a good one too.
We're gonna fly a blimp like we'd fly a MiG. Yeah, well, let's do that.
Watch me Tokyo drift this blimp onto the pole.
Exactly.
What could go wrong?
Everything.
Yeah, everything.
Right after a lightning storm too. Just.
Oh, that's a good one, man. I appreciate you doing the research on that.
Yeah, no problem.
So that's been our two blimp / airship stories today. We're still kind of on ships, though. We need to think of something else to talk about that are not anything ship related at all.
Well, just think, in like 2 years, we'll be able to do a show on Titanic 2 when it goes under.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that would be so ironic.
It'd be so funny.
Hopefully they'll have more lifeboats this time, is all I can say.
I don't know. It's made in China, so this might not be a good thing.
Are you trying to get my attention, JJ?
I didn't do it.
That's just what somebody who did it would say.
All I can say is when the L8 disappeared and when the Hindenburg exploded, nobody knows where JJ was.
Yeah.
He has no alibi. Oh, man. I think that's going to wrap us up today. I appreciate you joining me, Rob, doing the research on the Hindenburg.
No problem.
I hope everybody enjoyed the Hindenburg. Well, not enjoyed the Hindenburg disaster. That sounds kind of bad.
Yeah.
Hope you enjoyed the story of the Hindenburg disaster and the story of the mystery of the L8. Both to do with blimps / airships, and one a mystery and one
not so much.
Not so much a mystery.
Now they can say they know the difference between an airship and a blimp.
Yeah, because I just was intermingling the words and I was not correct.
But now they'll know the difference.
Yeah. If you take nothing else away from this stream today, a blimp, no frame. It's just a big bag of gas. Airship, a big bag of gas with a frame in it.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Well, I appreciate you being here as always, Rob. You want to tell everybody who you are, where they can find you?
Well, I'm just Rambling Canuck. You can find me on Twitter, Rambling Canuck, or on YouTube at Rambling Canuck. I do 2 live streams, one on Mondays, one on Friday, 9 p.m. Central. And then I do 2 video reviews, one on TOS, one on TNG. TOS is on Tuesdays at 9 a.m. The video drops. Thursdays, the TNG drops at 9 a.m. On Wednesday nights, Captain Trek joins me, a friend of mine, and we do a live review of the Enterprise, Star Trek Enterprise show. And then on Saturday nights, we all go a little crazy and have karaoke stream at 9 o'clock Central. So, yeah, that's pretty much me. And then usually Thursdays, you find me here.
Yeah. If I don't oversleep or if I have it or I don't have it, I'm trying to get back on my schedule. Trying to get everything straightened out. But, yeah, that's Bloody Mary Brunch. Now it's going to be its new time, 2 p.m. on Thursdays. There's a good chance we're going to talk about something to do with some sort of ship.
Probably.
And you can also find my other streams. Name That Tune and Jackbox Game Night are not going to be on Sunday anymore. They're going to be on Wednesdays at 11 p.m. Eastern. We did Jackbox last night for the first time on Wednesday. So next Wednesday at 11 p.m. Eastern will be Name That Tune. So trying to get my streaming schedule back on track and get back to my weekly streams like I had been. I think I got my new schedule ironed down and my new stream schedule ironed out. So hopefully it's going to be back to business as usual, just on different days for some of it. But
yeah,
I appreciate Rob being with me, Sith hanging out for a minute, being in the chat, everybody in the chat hanging out.
And
until next time.
And just remember, if all else fails, Sith did it.
Yeah, because nobody knows where Sith was when any of this happened.
Take her easy.
And I need to click the button. If this is your first time joining us, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. You can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram at HanstarYT. Good night, everybody.